home of the stars, through the airwaves and on the big screen. Coming to you live from Hollywood, it's Rated G Radio with your host, Garrett Miller.
Hey everybody, welcome to Rated G Radio. We are celebrating this fantastic author and actress, Rutanya Alda. She's been in award-winning movies. She's a fantastic actress. You are going to remember her, of course, because we're talking about her book, The Mommie Dearest Diary. Carol Ann Tells All. I raced home from Los Angeles today to open up the book and read it, and I've read it cover to cover this afternoon, so we can have all kinds of interesting things to talk about. Loved the book. I am excited to bring Rutanya on in just a real quick moment. I do want to give a public shout-out to Tony in New Jersey for connecting us tonight, and I've had so many people that have reached out prior to the show today saying, I can't believe she's on, I love her, I've worked with her, I am a big fan, and so if you have questions or just want to call and be a little bit of a fan tonight, please do so. You can call in at 323-657-1493. We're live from 10 p.m. Eastern until 11 p.m. Eastern. So we'll have Rutanya with us for the full hour tonight. And without further adu, my guest of honor is joining the show. Rutanya, thanks for being here tonight. How are you?
We are alive. We're alive and here. We're coast to coast. I'm so excited.
This is so much fun.
Like wonderful.
Oh, my God.
And I want to say one thing. Tony in New Jersey. Hello. Thank you.
Tony's the best. He's such a networker and connector. I have him to thank.
You know what's wonderful is that this networking of friends is just the best thing, and I'm grateful for it, and it just gives me hope that we're kind of supported in this universe. Well, we are supported in this universe, but we do help support each other, and it's just makes a huge difference in life, and I'm very grateful for it. So I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be on your show.
Well, thanks for that. Can I also tell you, I am ashamed to tell you this, but I didn't really know a whole lot about you until I got the book and read it, and am so excited to know all of the things that you've been doing throughout your entire career. But one of the things that I'm most honored and impressed with about you is the fact that you are a huge animal lover.
Oh yeah, I'm really. I just feel that they're the innocence of the world, and it's our duty to protect them, and also they are the most loving innocence. There's nothing like the pure love of a dog or a cat or any other animal you might have. My friend has a bunny that's been alive for 12 years, and he loves him. So I mean, it's just that innocent kind of. Just have to look at those eyes, and they're just, and anybody that is really mean and cruel, I just want to just almost kill, but I think the important thing, and I think what's happening with a lot of the animal advocacy, and I hope it's reaching, is to reach especially the young people or kids as they're growing up and educate them on, being kind to the animal. And when I see people, like when my son was little, we had this beautiful black and white cat. And they tend to get rough with animals, so I would just explain to him, the little paws are very delicate, and the little bones are very delicate, and the cat likes to be touched very gently. And he got it right away. I mean, he understood once you explained to them that they're little and they're delicate, they're a lot littler than you are. They get it. And I think the more education we do with kids and children, and I think it makes a difference in their lives and everybody's lives. And the more loving you can be to the innocent, I think the greater the world is, and we have to be a voice for that. And I just speak up, and if somebody doesn't like it, you know what? It's their problem. I am going to be their voice.
I love that, and you are a big cat lover yourself. You have a cat that you've renamed historically over the years, 1, 2, and 3. And how many pets do you have right now?
I have two. Olive Oil and Popeye were brother and sister, and they got rescued by my vet. Popeye only has one eye because his mother gave birth in a thorn bush, and he was very adventurous still. So he got the thorn in the eye. So my vet found him and found the Olive Oil sister and rescued them. And of course, my other cat had just died, Mikey, and I was so besought by myself. He was just so. And so I went to pick up his ashes, and she said, "Oh, I have these two." And I looked at Popeye with the one eye and all, and I said, "No." She said, "Well, I said, "Well, I'm just getting over Mikey's death." And she says, "No." She literally put the cat carrier in my car, and said, "We'll just keep him for a week." And of course, that you know what the week is. You just you fall in love with him. Then I have Coco. Coco was found in the parking lot of some mall. Coco is I got her when she was 9 months old. She was scared to death, and so she only relates to me. She feels very safe with me, and she nudges me when I'm on the computer. She goes right under my hand. It's under the mouse. And then I have a new little one coming. My son, the superintendent, found a kitty in his basement. He was going to throw it out into the street. And she's really cute. She's like a interesting kind of a calico, white with gray and orange. So I'm getting her tomorrow. She's probably about 4 weeks to 5 weeks old. She's really tiny.
Oh,
so
wow.
She's at my son's tonight. He's going to bring her over tomorrow. So that's my array of, it's always room for one more. I love dogs. I would have a dog, but I'm in the city and it wouldn't be fair to the dog because a lot of times I'm gone for 10 hours, 12 hours at a time. With the cats, it's fine because I give them a lot of love when I come back. But with the dog, it's not fair because they have to be taken out, more than just once a day. So, but I love them. I pet them. We have. I already know the dogs in the neighborhood. And it's like there's a whole doggy connection with people. It's really interesting that it's like their kids, their dogs and stuff. So, I'm happy to be part of it. They give me a lot of joy, and I think that's a real great thing in life to have that.
Well, I think that animals know when they're around good people because they just kind of flock to you, and it's those. I think those cats found you, and your son's, the new kitty that you're going to bring home tomorrow. They just know when they are around good people, and it's very interesting. I've always found over the years that if my dogs don't like, and I love cats, but I'm a dog person. So, but if I'm around cats,
that's great.
They can come and pile on my lap, and that's great. But I've always found with dogs over the years, if they bark at people coming over to the house, that's usually a good indication that we've got somebody here that we need to keep our eye on because my dogs tend to love everybody. Just crazy. They know personalities. So,
but anyway, they do know personalities. They sense and they do know when you're an animal lover or not. They really do, and so it's that instinct, that pure instinct that comes out, and thank you to everybody who's adopted. I really think that just go to a shelter, adopt from a shelter. There's so many wonderful rescues and shelters and looking for homes, and there's nothing like a rescue. And in the past, my cats have died. They were all rescues from shelters. So, and boy, were they grateful and loving and wonderful. I mean, it takes them sometimes a while to get through that and get over it. But I mean, my Mikey, the cat that died, immediately when he came home, he was just in seventh heaven. And he was a rescue cat from the shelter. So, they're all, and what's interesting is that they're all different. They're all different, as you know from your dogs. They all have different personalities.
Yeah.
It's so like amazing.
And
there's no two that are like.
Well, just like kids or anything else, But I have. We're going to talk about your book in like 2 seconds. But I have 3 dogs.
Fine.
I have 5 dogs, but 3 of them came from the same litter. So I have 2 sisters and the brother that came from the same litter.
Wow.
You would think that their personalities would be so similar, and be very mimicked across the board, and they could not be more different.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that. That's very, very true, and it's amazing. That's so different. But now, welcome to the world of animals, and we're animal lovers, and God bless us all.
You always say adopt, don't shop. But and a lot of places around the country now are making the pet stores actually take the pets from the shelters, so they're not allowing the breeders and everything. So I'm a big
Isn't
fan of
that
that
wonderful? Yeah, that's wonderful. There's a lot of state laws now happening saying they have to go to shelters, and that's where they have to get their animals. I think that is magnificent and wonderful. That way, we'll avoid a lot of the the killing in the shelters, which is so horrible. But so absolutely, I'm for that 100%.
So we are too. So now that we've spent 10 minutes talking about pets, go out and adopt some pets tonight. Do that. But I really am just so thrilled to have read the Mommie Dearest Diary, Carol Ann Tells All today. And I don't want to say it was a quick read because I'm not a quick reader, but I find that if I have a book that is interesting and keeps me wanting to turn the page, I can read very quickly, and that's exactly what happened this afternoon. So I picked the book up about 1:30 this afternoon, and I finished it about 5:30, and went through. Well, it's like I got to find out what happens next. What's going to
the journey.
That's the journey. But for those people who haven't seen Mommie Dearest or don't know, who you are, can you tell us a little backstory about you before we get into the actual diary part of the book?
Oh, my foreword. Well, that's it's interesting because I really don't talk about myself very much. For me to write that first chapter was a big breath because I thought, I'm writing about things my friends don't even know about, But I said, it got to just keep it real and keep it honest because if I'm going to put something on paper, it has no value unless it gets, it's true. So my first part of the book is my journey to America, sort of, and where I came from. I was born in Latvia, and I grew up in displaced person camps in Germany after World War II. I came to America, and a lot of horrible things happened to me with my stepfather and my mother. And a friend of mine just Facebooked me and said that he was really glad that I had written about that because he felt both his parents did not love him, and he had never talked about it to anybody else. He didn't know anybody else that ever felt that way, he said. And so it is true. Like my mother didn't love me, my stepfather didn't love me, and to grow up being unloved is a horrible, horrible thing. It's a horrible feeling. Like my friend on Facebook just wrote, he had never known anybody because there's lots of us that are out there. But what happens is we find out we don't talk about it, and like I didn't talk about it, and it's that that silence that is really deadly. And so I had to say, okay, I'm writing this book. I'm telling you about my journey, my 4-month journey with Mommie Dearest, but then I have to let people know about my journey too before Mommie Dearest. So that's my early part is a little bit of the family life, and then, of course, coming to New York to study and studying with all the great teachers I studied with, and then having the affairs that I had with the different people, and then I start my Mommie Dearest journey. And with it was a troubling, my life was troubled at the time, which I write about in the diary, and the set experience was very difficult because of Miss Dunaway, and it made it a very difficult experience. We were all happy when she wasn't there. Let's put it that way. That was when the set people took a breath and could relax, and it was actually fun. So I kind of journaled it, but I didn't journal it with any expectation of making it into a book. I journaled it because, and it's the only movie I've ever journaled. It's the only journaling I've ever done, really. I journaled these 4 months because my personal life was a wreck. My on set life was a wreck, and the only way I could kind of balance myself in terms of my own sanity was to write about it. So I kept this journal for my own sanity, so to speak. My own it helped me kind of have a more harmony in my life and that more balance. So I had never really intended to publish it. I just kind of put it away. I put it away, and to my surprise, the movie became a cult movie.
Right.
And bigger than ever. And I thought, oh my goodness. And I really had no idea that people would be interested in the journal. The first inkling I got of it when I did the Ziegfeld about 3 years ago with Hedda Lettuce, who is a brilliant comedian. Whereas Hedda Lettuce is a comedian, she wears a green wig and these sexy dresses, these amazing sparkly things, and she is the wittiest, funniest comedian, I think, of our time. So she had me as a guest at the Ziegfeld when they were screening Mommie Dearest at the Ziegfeld on Mommie's Mother's Day like 3 years ago. And then she had me as a guest, and she asked some questions. So I answered them, and people were really interested. And I thought, oh, people were interested. Then cut to like 2 years ago Mark Hustis called me up from the Castro Theater. He was producing at the Castro Theater. And he said, we're having a big Mother's Day thing at San Francisco at the Castro, and would you come and be our guest? And I hear you have a diary, because I had mentioned it with Hedda. Would you mind reading from your diary? And I said, okay, I'll dig it up, I'll dig it out. And so I picked some key passages, which she recorded and put on YouTube, which was kind of fun. And so the theater sold out. It's almost 2,000 seats with these beautiful, gorgeous guys. And who were there? And it was the most loving wave that came through that theater at me. I took my breath away. They were so wonderful. They were so receptive. They were so supportive. I cannot tell you what a difference this made when I read from my diary. They just loved it. And the response was so overwhelmingly positive. I thought, well, maybe I should do a book. So that's how the book came about.
So do you think that, that the popularity of the movie, again, tying back to Joan Crawford and other strong female role models of the era, like Judy Garland and things like that, do you think that helped, especially with the LGBT community, to kind of find an anchor of an audience that really just is fallen in love with you all these years?
Yeah, well, I think so, and I'm so grateful. I am so grateful. I'm proud of this movie. I'm not like Faye Dunaway. It's hiding behind it and not talking about it. I think, I'm just thrilled that it has become bigger than ever. I mean, I'm thrilled that people are enjoying it still after all these years, and that they know the lines. And you go to an event like Hedda's having another Mommie Dearest thing on Halloween, and she makes commentaries, and people know the lines, and they scream the lines, and it's really a happening, and I am so thrilled about it. I'm not hiding behind. I'm happy. I'm embracing it. I think it's great. I can't say how absolutely delighted and surprised I am. I mean, this is like 30 years ago, I would never have thought, this movie is going to be bigger than it was when it opened, but it is, and people really love it, and they enjoy it. And there is something about Joan Crawford that is very attractive to the community. And she had a career that spanned over 50 years with major motion pictures. She was a tough broad that really survived all of this, and my head goes off to her. I say, boy, it was no small thing to survive all those years and be a major motion picture star all those years. And I think there's something that's kind of appealing to the audience, and they watch her and they know that she has her ups and downs, and yet she is a survivor in the truest sense of the word, So I mean, I'm impressed with her. I think I watch her movies. When we did the movie, Frank Perry screened Mildred Pierce and Humoresque. Humoresque, kind of, the camera went bad halfway through, but you see that, and Frank even says, I think I journal it, that we've lost something in American movie making, because there was something wonderful about these films, and these women were great. I mean, they were really they were monumental. I mean, Joan was, and the part she played, and Betty Davis and Judy Garland, And these women that did these movies were all unique and memorable. Like today, I see movies and I think sometimes I don't remember the actors. I don't remember the actresses. They all look alike. It's like they all act alike, but not, Joan Crawford was very different in style than Bette Davis or Judy Garland or Roz Russell or some of these women. They all were unique, and they all made their own imprint and their own stamp in this business. And they were memorable. They still are memorable, So I love them. I put my little handprints in my little hands in Joan's handprints when I started the movie at Grauman's. I went there and I got a little buzz. I thought, ooh, okay, Joan. She's buzzing me here with her in her hand.
But, in reading your book, though, I really would compare you to be that same strong type of individual that Joan was or Judy was or Bette Davis was, that, especially from your early years and the camps coming over to the United States and, just growing up in a family that maybe you didn't have the best, support system. And talking about Flagstaff, Arizona, I spent many a year in Phoenix. So when you said you went to NAU, I just got up out of my chair and I was doing a little bit of a happy dance. But, you have such a strong will about you to survive and get through some of the things that you've gone through. I see many comparisons or similarities, to these, strong actresses that you first started out, just admiring going to the movies. And I think there's a section in the book where you talk about the fact that you saw Joan Crawford in Arizona getting ready to film a movie, and you took a picture of her, and little did you know you were going to meet her later down the road.
Yeah, I had my little brownie box camera. She was in Sedona, Arizona, which is about 25 miles south of Flagstaff. And so my stepfather had driven down there, and there was a movie being made there, and so we kind of stopped by. And at that time in Sedona was a very small town. It's very hip town now and much more, but that time was kind of a small little village kind of. So it wasn't hard to go on the set and kind of be there. There wasn't a lot of people there, maybe 20, and watch the actors. So I took a picture of her with my brownie box camera, and but I was too shy to go up and talk to her. But she was wandering around, and she was talking to some people, but I didn't speak English that well at the time. So I watched them doing the film, and then of course years later, working on Roman Polanski's film Rosemary's Baby as Mia Farrow's stand-in and photo double, I met her because she and Van Johnson, this scene is cut out, by the way, but in the original script, Mia Farrow's character goes to see a play down at, I'm blocking the name of the play. It's a little musical that ran for like 30 years down there in the village. And I can't remember the name of the play, but it's one. It has that song, da 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 da. The September song is in there. Try to remember the of September, da 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 da. Anyway, it's this wonderful musical, and so in the script, Mia's character goes to see the play, and in the lobby is Joan Crawford and Van Johnson. And she says to her friend, she goes with her girlfriend, she says to her friend, "Oh, look, there's Joan Crawford and Van Johnson." And then they kind of giggle and everything, and they're standing in the lobby, being very movie starish. And so so that night that we're shooting, Mia's late. So Roman is frantic because he doesn't want to get too far behind schedule, and it's nighttime, and we have to get out of there by a certain time. So he puts me in Mia's white coat and shoots me from the back, entering the theater. And so I stand there while he does his next setup, and Joan is standing there, and so she comes over to me and says, "Hello, I'm Joan Crawford." And she shakes my hand. And I think, oh, my God, she must think I'm Mia Farrow. because I think oh yes, I stutter and stammer and stutter and all that stuff. Oh, thank you very so. Yes, I know. Oh, it's so lovely to meet you. And then Roman comes in and by that time a few minutes later Mia comes and Mia replaces me. But those are my two. My first was the Joan sighting, and my second was the Joan meeting. And she looked fabulous. She was wearing this kind of print, like a tiger print with this tiger hat, like a wraparound hat, and she looked wonderful. She just looked great. She looked older, but she's very much Joan Crawford. I mean, you couldn't mistake her.
Couldn't mistake her.
You knew who she was immediately.
So now you also were the stand-in for a couple of other leading ladies in Hollywood of note. Can you maybe? Okay, cool.
I did photo doubling and for Barbra Streisand in Hello, Dolly, while she was shooting in West Point, not West Point, Garrison, across from West Point, Garrison, New York, on the Hudson. They do the little village scenes there, and the Hello, Dolly number is there, and Put On Your Sunday Clothes number is there. So with Tommy Tune. So I did her photo doubling there, and then I also did photo doubling stand-in. I did photo doubling for Barbara, but I was stand-in for Anne Francis on Funny Girl, and so I had the opportunity to observe and kind of be around Miss Streisand on those two films, and of course I wound up going back home and throwing away all my Barbra Streisand. It's the dumpster after my Hello, Dolly experience. I thought, I know she's got a brilliant voice, but I don't want to hear it anymore. It's
right.
It brings back those memories of being abused. I thought, I just don't want them. So I took them, threw them down. I don't know if anybody ever went through the dumpster. They may have taken. They were perfectly good records. But I do write about that in the diary. And oh, by the way, in Hello, Dolly, because I was also a townsperson, and Gene Kelly gave me little bits to do. He was wonderful, by the way, Gene Kelly, just amazingly, just delightful and wonderful and helpful. So I get to wear Judy Garland's dress from Meet Me in St. Louis, the kind of a slate gray dress with the yellow tassels. I have a picture of it in my book, me wearing Judy's dress. At the time, we were perfect fit. I don't know if I could fit into it now, but at that time it was and it had her label in there. And the amazing thing is, which I didn't know at the time, Irene Sheriff, who designed all the clothes for Mommie Dearest, came out of retirement to do so, designed Judy Garland's clothes and Meet Me in St. Louis, and designed for Barbra Streisand and Hello, Dolly.
Small world.
So she was an Academy Award winner. I think next to Edith Head, she was the next most noted designer of that era. She worked I think 40 years. She and Edith Head were like the two top costume designers. And so, but I didn't know that at the time. I learned that afterwards when I went on to find out more about Irene Sheriff and I thought, oh my gosh, I wore her Judy Garland dress, I wore the Hello, Dolly dress, and I wore and she was amazing. What an eye that woman had. Boy, she could go through. We were going through racks of clothes, and she would just go, and that was it, and she picked something out. And every time she was right on. And of course, she was very generous, and she would say, look at this, and if you don't like it, if it doesn't feel right on you, tell me, and we will find something else. But honestly, everything she picked out was just perfect for my character, and I thought, I can't think of anything wrong with it. It's really terrific. So she was quite a dame, really very, very impressive woman.
Now, Stephen in Florida is asking on Facebook, he says, were you able to keep any of your wardrobe or anything from the sets?
No, it was not. It all went back to wherever it went back to. And unfortunately, I asked Frank if I could keep a dress, and he thought maybe, Frank Yablon's the producer, but then it didn't turn out. So
didn't turn out. I will tell you, if you'd like to see the picture of Rutanya in those beautiful gowns, you can take a look at page 26 of the Mommie Dearest diary. She's included of several pages of pictures and commentary in there as well. I love the stories behind the pictures. You know, sometimes people will just put a picture and say circa 19 whatever, and you just have to say, okay, that was nice, but it doesn't really tell me anything. You actually do give us a little bit of feedback and history of what's going on in the pictures, so I appreciate that very much. But go ahead.
Yep. Well, the Judy Garland dress was on sale at that about three years ago on Beverly Hills. I went to the costume exhibit. They were selling off all these dresses from like the Marilyn Monroe dress and other dresses. So Judy Garland, that dress that I wore was on sale. I think it went for $3,000 or $4,000. But I told the guard at the time, I wore that dress. I wore that dress in a film. And he rolled his eyes. He said, "Oh yeah, sure you did, lady." So, there you go. Not everybody believes you when you tell them something. I didn't have my picture with me.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sure, lady. Yeah. Well, we're at the halfway mark, believe it or not. I'm going to ask for everybody to just kind of sit tight. We're going to do a very quick commercial break. 30 seconds only, folks. This is for Rainbow Brew out of Minneapolis, St. Paul Coffee. I mention this because it's National Coffee Day. If you go to my Facebook page, there's actually a coupon to get $2 off your order. There's a special coupon code that you can use, and, of course, mentioned that you heard it on here on Rated G Radio. But here is their ad. We'll be right back.
When it comes to coffee, freshness is queen. That's why Rainbow Brew believes you should have the freshest coffee, roasted to order in small batches and delivered to your door within a couple days. Whether you're purchasing for a coffee shop, restaurant, or home, Rainbow Brew is your one-stop shop for fair trade and organic coffee. Offering many unique blends, including AM 950's own Blue State blend. That's Rainbow Brew, the Queen Bean, a proud sponsor of the Morning Grind. Online at rainbowbrew.com. Brew something good today.
So thanks, Rainbow Brew. We always appreciate the sponsorships. Well, let's get into...
Oh, Rainbow Brew sounds great.
Really
Rainbow Brew sounds just like the thing to get. Well, I loved it.
When I first started talking to them, and I said, how do you make good coffee? You're in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And they said, you've got to try these beans because we have this special way we do things. So they've got all these different flavors. And they either grind it up for you or send the beans out just directly for you to, grind at your house. But it's out of Minneapolis, St. Paul. So I
might try it. I really believe it. It is all in the beans. It's in the beans and how that's it. That makes a big, huge difference. So
are you a big coffee drinker?
Good.
Are you a big coffee drinker?
Well, you know what? I'm limiting myself to 2 cups a day. I used to drink like 5 or 6. But I'm a two-a-day gal. But I really enjoy my coffee. I love it. It just gives me great pleasure to sip it.
I love it. Yeah, I'm with you. If I do any more, I kind of get a little on the crazy side, so I don't do that. But let's get to the meat of the book here. You actually start out here in 1981, or really from December of 1980, talking about your experience, a little bit before, and then when the movie finally wraps. Take us through that journey a little bit about what you were thinking. I know you'd said that you're doing it to balance your personal life and the craziness that was on set, but for somebody who's never journaled before or after or since, I'm really just kind of in awe of the detail that you kept in putting this all together.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Well, it kind of helped me to do it. I mean, I did it really of myself and kind of after the end of the day, kind of reviewed my day so I could let it go, so to speak. It's another metaphysical technique, but I didn't know I was using it at the time. I didn't know it until I studied metaphysics years later. When you kind of go through your day and journal it, and then you release it, and that's what kind of helped me, I think, looking back. I journaled it, and then I was able to release it, and welcome the next day, and I journaled it, and I could release it. But otherwise, I don't know. I mean, I think I would have been gone a little cuckoo there. It was just so much stress in my own personal life with my husband, and then with all the tension on the set, because everybody was afraid of getting fired. I mean,
right.
Frank Perry told me up front, you look too good. If you look too good, you're going to get fired. And so we had to keep doing it down, toning it down. But there was a whole fear on that set of people everybody's on the edge about getting fired by Faye. So there was that fear element. So I think just journaling it was kind of able to let it go a little bit and then start again and kind of. But thank you about mentioning that about the detail. That's really great. I think looking back and rereading it and looking at the writing, I think what I like about it is that it captures not just me and Faye, but it captures the people around us that are working and what they had to say and their impressions. So it's sort of the experience of other people that you deal with, your makeup man, your hair person, the other person's attitudes and their fears about getting fired, and like when Vivian Walker, who was just a brilliant hairstylist, and she had these magnificent wigs, real hair that she'd done through the years. She had done Joan Crawford, she had done Vivian Leigh, she'd done Merle Oberon, all these huge stars. She came out of retirement to do this, and with her understanding, she was supposed to do Faye because she had the wigs. But then she got dumped right at the beginning. She didn't get fired, but she got relegated to Faye was going to have her own stylist, and so it sets up a lot of stuff that happens at the beginning with how people respond to the situation they're placed in by the events, starting with the leading lady, and then by the fact that everybody's kind of terrified of her, including the director. So it's interesting because Faye is now, I mentioned at the end of the chapter, she, for a person who hated that movie and hated her performance and hated everybody in the movie and hated everything about the movie, she is now going to be writing a book about the movie. Of course, she didn't keep any notes.
Right.
So she had asked me back in February, I think, she emailed me. She wanted me to come fly in and help me write a book with her ghostwriter, and for no money, of course, and a little credit somewhere in the footnotes. And I said, no, I have my own book. Yeah, I think she must have known about my book from the Castro theater thing. I said, no, well, you can use it. I'm gathering that you don't remember a lot of it, because if I was trying to remember it 30 years ago, I would not remember the details. So I said, well, you can use my book as an outline when my book is out. So I just heard from someone that they had been asked to help her write her book, and so she must have fired the other, or let go of the other person that was ghostwriters. Right? And this person is quite well known, good writer. So he actually is my friend. So I emailed him and I said, "Are you going to do it?" And he said, "Not unless she pays me $1 million. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to put myself in it." Because, I'm sure that there are several writers that have come and gone, because unless she were really there, unless she kept intimate notes, she's not going to remember a lot of it. I mean, honestly, if I hadn't kept my diary, rereading my diary, I remember it really vividly, a lot of the moments, because I kept that diary. But had I not kept that diary, it would have been kind of vague. I would have remembered a little bit, but not the intricate. And thank you for noticing the details, by the way. I really, really appreciate it, Garrett. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see if her book is published next year. She probably has a deadline. But these are the same people that turned down my books that are going to publish her book. So it's interesting.
Beat her to the punch, and you'll sell the 1 million copies and make this a bestseller. By the way, I want to let everybody know who's listening tonight, if you're watching on the Rated G Radio page here on Blog Talk, we have a new Rated G Radio Superstar Swag page on Amazon, and if you click there on the book section, Rutanya's book is the premier book on the book section and also in the autobiography section. So if you'd like to click and buy her book tonight, you can do that easily. I mention that because a lot of times you'll say, I like Rutanya's book, but I also want to get other guests that are on the show. You can by any guest that's been on the show that has a product on Amazon and sort through the music or the books or the movies. We've even put Mommie Dearest as a DVD on there, but, go buy her book tonight because that's what we really want you to do. But I will encourage you to go there and check that out. If you're on the fence and, pinging me saying, this is fun, but I want to know more, you have to go buy the book. So please do that.
Thank you, Garrett. Well, it will take you on a journey. You will be with me on that journey for 4 months in this book, and I so appreciate you telling people about it because I am self-published, so I don't have a publishing house behind me. I don't have a lot of so my word of mouth is, and I really, really appreciate everybody on Amazon that has commented so beautifully. I mean, very touching on the Amazon page. They've commented about the book. So I really am getting wonderful, wonderful notices. And it makes me feel really good because when I broke for my literary agent, because he wanted me to make up a lot of stuff about Faye and less about my life, I said, no, I don't want to make up anything. I want this to be an honest journal, and believe me, Faye reveals herself through the book. You will get it. I don't have to spell it out for you. People are very smart, and they get the whole thing by the day-to-day happenings, and it doesn't have to be me saying what a horrible person is. I don't have to say it because you just have to just take the journey with me, and it's really exciting, and I'm grateful that I'm glad that I took it away from my former agent and put it back into my own hands. The book is exactly like I wanted it. I didn't have to twist and turn it and make stuff up, and it is what I stand behind every word of it. It's exactly what happened to my life, and it's exactly what happened to the book, and it's exactly what happened after the book. So there's a foreword, the diary, and an afterward. So you get a sense of the whole experience.
Well, and you need it all.
So I'm sorry.
You need it all. I mean, because if you had one and not the other, it would not make sense.
Thank you so much for saying that because I had a big fight with my agent about it. He wanted me to drop all the stuff about me and to just add stuff about Faye, and I said, no, this is one of the reasons we broke. And I thought, and I want to encourage other people, if you really feel, because I was in a tough position and he was really putting the pressure on me, and I had to take the book away and say, you know what? I'm not going to do it somebody else's way. I'm going to do it the way I believe in my heart it should be done and it should be said. So I want to encourage other people. I said sometimes if somebody's twisting your arm and you know in your heart that this is not right, just don't do it. We come to a point in our lives where we have to say, this is me, this is who I am, this is what I believe, this is what I want it to be, and if it isn't, if you can't support me in that journey, well, I have to let you go. And then he was threatening to say all kinds of bad things on the reviews on Amazon, and I was really nervous about it. And I said, God, just divine guide me through this. And then I found out that you cannot review a book on Amazon unless you have bought it and you're an authenticated buyer. So that let go of all the fear that I had that he would just destroy me and say horrible things. And I thought, boy, divine guidance, when you ask for that divine guidance, it really comes through. You go like, oh, thank you. I was so thrilled. I said, you can't comment on it unless you buy a book. And they authenticate you as a book buyer. So this is a great thing, which I didn't know. I had no idea.
So one more reason to go out and help support the cause. So go buy her book, The Mommie Dearest Diary, tonight, and then buy like 10 copies because you have the holidays coming up. You keep one for yourself, and you've got 9 for family and friends. So I always say to do that.
Yeah, that's good.
Going back to the book here, my impression in reading the diary portion of this was that, by the time the movie started and everything was going, you had so much going on in your personal life with your husband at the time that at least the things with Faye from the Mommie Dearest filming standpoint, I knew were kind of there, or at least it felt that they were there, but it didn't really seem like that was, such a huge part of your daily existence until much later in the filming, when I think kind of like the reputation had set in for Faye as far as being taking you out of shots or taking lines away from people and things like that. How difficult was that for you to be going through as an actor, trying to memorize lines and get into character when you had such craziness in your personal life?
Well, it was difficult to stay constant. Well, it was difficult from the beginning when she tried the old trick of upstaging me, and I thought, oh, okay, coming from the theater, I know exactly when an actor stages you, so you're forced to turn your back. And so I knew I didn't have any support with Frank Perry was a very sweet man, but he was also, my impression was, he was also a little scared of her, and he could have been fired. So I just helped her. I just upstaged myself. I thought, it's either that or I said I have to let my ego go and not just do the best I can. I said all the training, all the wonderful people I've studied with came in at that moment and said, just let it go, and whatever screen time I get, I'll get. And then a lot of it was, they were always shooting me at the end of the day. I was the last person to get shot when everybody's tired, everybody's wanting to go home. And Faye was never there. She was never, ever there for my close-ups, not once. So I'd always have to do my close-up or reading with the script girl or Frank or somebody else there that wasn't Faye. So all of my shots, all my close-ups and stuff, Faye was never there. So a lot of it was a challenge. In that respect, I really, really say that my training as an actor with all these wonderful acting teachers I studied with came in at that point, saying, okay, they're not there. I have to use my technique and my imagination to get through this, because when you're not helped, like when I did The Deer Hunter, we were all there for each other's close-ups. We were there. We were supportive. We were a team. We worked together. In this movie experience of Mommie Dearest, I did not. Faye never worked with me. There was not one time that she was there for my close-up. She always left, or she came late. And my scenes were the ones that got cut. So, from an ego point of view, I had to swallow my ego and my pride and say, "There's nothing I can do about it. I just have to get through this the best way I can get through this on the set days." So that was a challenge. And then, of course, because my husband was a drug addict, that was a challenge. And, it's those two challenges that made me journal. That's what made me journal the diary. So in a sense, it's a blessing 30-some years later, it's a blessing, because a lot of people are interested. A lot of people that are really into the movie and that have become really huge fans of the movie are really interested in the movie. And the people that aren't, from the comments I've gotten reading the Amazon page, they were interested in what it was like, and they really got what it was like working on a film and ins and outs of a film set. So it works on both levels. It works on if you're really interested in Mommie Dearest, or if you're interested in the business and the acting and what happens with producers, directors, writers, and the egos and all the chaos that can go on in a film set. For 4 months. I had never been on a movie for 4 months before. I mean, I was on Deer Hunter for 6 weeks, which was wonderful, but I had never been on a movie from day one to the last day. So this was an experience where usually you go in for a week or 2 or 3 if you're lucky. I was lucky it was 6 weeks of Deer Hunter, but usually you go in for a short time unless you're the star. And then to be on this long and then have these other challenges with all the other personalities it's fascinating for a lot of people. People that read it are reading it from that point of view. They find it interesting. So that's been good.
I have one comment, and then we're going to go to the phones. I've got somebody who wants to ask you a question.
Sure.
One of the things that I really found very smart of you as somebody who is going to navigate their way on a set, or really in any situation in life, is when you realize that you're being sabotaged by by Faye in the filming and having you get blocked or lines cut, you would expertly work her and say, "Oh, thank you for putting me behind the camera. Now I can learn about this." You have several examples that you give, and I went, "That is a true genius."
Well, thank you. You know what? A lot of it is I'm a member. I mean, I'm a practitioner in New Thought, so a lot of it has helped me a lot. Ernest Holmes' thinking and thing. So I have to really watch my thinking and watch my thoughts. And even today, I mean, it's not like I have it and I've got it. It's a continual journey. I mean, I the other day I found myself in a negative state of mind, and I said, just stop and change your thinking, because this is not going to get you anything. So as difficult as the situation that I was in the other day, I just had to stop and just change my thinking and say, you know what? I'm going to attract what I'm thinking about, and I don't want to attract that. So let me just change my thinking, and even if I have to go neutral on my thinking, it'll be that. And I got through it, and, at the end it was fine. But it's a daily exercise, and it's watching myself and watching my thoughts sometimes. And sometimes I just have to get mad and curse and throw things around or beat a pillow or whatever, and then it's out. It's like my metaphysical teacher once said to me, when you're going to hell, don't stop and build a condo. And just keep moving, And a lot of times in my past, I've stopped and built my condo and stayed there, and I thought, well, okay, just keep moving. I hear her voice in my head. Just keep moving, and but that doesn't mean that we don't have emotions. That doesn't mean that when we get a flat tire that we don't scream and kick and have these emotions in the middle of something. I've got a flat, but then you wind up calling AAA or whatever, and you have a solution. But I think that's. Thank you for commenting on that. I think I was trying to do that, because I thought, the other way, it was just.
It brings you down. Yeah.
It brings me down. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
and I noticed you had a nice affirmation today when I was watching the tape with you on the beach. It looked just beautiful. I loved it. It was great. But I noticed you had an affirmation about your life, and I thought he's doing a great affirmation at the bottom.
Well, I selfishly, I do that for me every day, and that's more of a reminder for myself that, okay, the day's starting. You have a choice that you can make. What kind of day do you want to have? Do you want to have a nice day, or do you want to have a different kind? I'd rather have a nice one, but we could talk about that on a different
It was a great affirmation, by the way. I really liked it. I wanted to mention that to you.
Well, it's
a great way to start a day, and it's a great way to end a day, too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a big believer. And bringing on a caller out of Southern California, you are now live, caller. Welcome to the show.
I hope that's me. Hi,
this
is Bruce.
Hi, it's you.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thanks for calling in.
Sure. I'm sure you remember working with me on Old Dog.
Oh, my God. I love Old Dogs.
Nelson Van Eddie.
Oh, my goodness, Brucey. Is it Bruce?
Oh, my God. So, Rutanya, I just have to say, and for everybody that's listening, I could not put your book down. And I am a voracious reader, particularly of biographies. And yours was it was captivating. I'm so happy you included your bio piece, about your life and how you started out. It was just, you made the right choice on that book, seriously taking it back and doing it yourself.
Oh, thank you, Brucey. Thank you so much. I love, by the way, everybody, Old Dogs and New Tricks is a great web series. It's going to have its fourth season, which is probably the final season before they probably make a movie out of it. But it's really worth watching. And talk about the love that goes on in that show. People are so wonderful and so supportive, and so everything that shooting a film should be. So, Bruce, you're wonderful, and thank you for saying that, because it was a big deal. It was a big deal to me to take it back because I took it back with a little bit of my knees was shaking, thinking, okay, well, it's just me now. I'm on my own. But I couldn't do it the other way. I thought the other way is going to be false and fake, and and just full of lies. And I thought, I can't go that way.
And one other quick thing, Rutanya, I really, really hope you are able to come to the West Coast and do a book signing. I think you would have so many fans line up for this. So it's something to seriously considering. If it's possible, if we can work it out, I know there's an opportunity in Long Beach, and I'm definitely not pitching for anything at this point, but I just think it's something that should be discussed, because I think you would have a huge gathering in Los Angeles should you come out.
Oh, that would be wonderful. That would be absolutely
amazing. And I'll
amazing.
be in line.
Oh, no, you'll be with me. You'll be by me, by my side.
I'll be behind you photo bombing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
just real quick, guys. I worked with Rutanya on Old Dogs, and she plays a character called Barbara Fierce, which is slightly, we were doing some spoofs on Mommie Dearest in the episode and doing lines from Mommie Dearest, and I had a line in there was the Barbara, please, Barbara. Yeah. Which every gay man knows and thinks is hilarious, including me.
It is. It's wonderful. It was wonderful to get them in terms of what we were doing too, which was so great. You were so wonderful in that show.
Oh, you were a riot. And Rutanya had the line, "I'll get the cards out on time, okay?" Listen, I do not want to take up the rest of your time with Garrett, so I'm going to hop off. But I love you, and I love your book.
I love you too, sweetie. I love you. I hope to see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, everybody, that was Bruce Hart, and he's been on the show as a guest before as well. He's a producer, actor, singer, dance. He does it all. So anytime I see anything
wonderful.
He's awesome.
So talented. He is so great to work with. He was such a joy, and he's a great guy. I just love him.
Well,
and it was a real surprise that he called in. I did not expect it.
We had that planned. I didn't want to tell you that. But
I'm so happy.
Our last question of the day comes from Stephen on Facebook as well, and this is a part 2. He says, I know you've mentioned some book signing dates and cities. Where will you be? And is there a website where they can go find all that out?
You know, because I'm self-published, I don't have a publishing house behind me sending me out. The Alamo Theater Complex in Denver is actually sponsoring me and flying me in October the 6th in Denver. They're having a screening of Mommie Dearest with commentary with Walter Chow, who's a great writer, critic. And then I'm going to have my first book signing there. And then the next day, on the 7th, October 7th, I'm going to the Denver Public Library to have a book signing there with Chris Laufelmacher. And because they're bringing me in, they're sponsoring me, I'm able to do that. In October 23rd, 24th, and 25th, I'll be at Chiller, which is in Parsippany, New Jersey. I'll be signing there. And October 31st in New York, at the Bowtie Cinema on West 23rd Street, I'll be doing Halloween with Mommie Dearest with the wonderful Hedda Lettuce, and I'll be doing a book signing there. So that's really all I have set up at this point.
Well, that's a lot for right now, and I think that's very exciting. So, yeah.
Thank you. It would be great to go to Los Angeles, actually. I would love it, but I'll have to see what opportunities come up, and, and as a person who's self-published, it's a little different route.
It's always interesting, the route that you're on.
Yes.
We've got about 2 minutes left here, Rutanya. Any last words of wisdom, maybe a fun story that we can share with the listeners, and then we're going to go off into the sunset for the night.
Oh, thank you. Well, it's a beautiful sunset in California. Those beaches are amazing. I just want to, if you want to share my journey, my life, and my journey with me, it'd be nice for you to share it with my book. But the most important thing, I think, is just to have and really cherish your own life journey. I think Jack Kerouac said it. He said, "Fall in love with your life," and I think it's important for us to fall in love with our own lives and not they are all the highs, the lows, the ups and downs. It's all in the part of the journey, and it's our journey. It's our own very special journey, and to honor it, to be in awe of it, instead of don't criticize yourself, don't put yourself down, really just forgive yourself. We're none of us are perfect. We all make mistakes. You know, we are out there and we do the best we can. I really think we all are doing the best we can on our journey. And, you know, some days can be better, some days can be worse. But, you know, at the same time, forgive yourself and love yourself and just know that you are that unique, wonderful soul that God or the higher power or divine presence, whatever name you want to call it, that has put into this world. And you are perfect, you are whole, you are complete just the way you are. That doesn't mean we don't make mistakes, but you know what? They're just mistakes, and everybody makes them. So just fall in love with your life, and bless you all, and thank you for taking the time to listen to me.
There we go. Everybody, it's been Rutanya Alda, the Mommie Dearest Diary. Carol Ann Tells All. It's available on Amazon today. Go out and buy 10 copies. Keep one for yourself, 9 for holiday gifts. We'll see you live tomorrow night on Rated G Radio. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and share the episode.
You've been listening to Rated G Radio.